Hello and welcome to the Premier League podcast from ProTipster Global. My name is ProTipster Dan. I'm joined tonight by our good friend Thomas from ProTipster Slovakia.
Hello everyone, good evening.
And we're going to be talking Premier League football. Martin's not with us tonight, which we'll come to shortly. But without further ado, let's start with the game that we've been training all week. While I drop that, the game between Spurs and Liverpool, which takes place on Sunday, I think. What do you make of this one, Tom?
Well, that is the game of the week as we have chosen it. That should be a cracking game. We know that Tottenham recorded the first home win of the season last week. So against Bournemouth, they got a decent result from Santiago Bernabeu playing in the Champions League away to Real Madrid, 1-1. They should be coming in a good mood against Liverpool, who, let's say this way, their results in the last 2 weeks in the Premier League have not been so good, but the 7-0 win against Maribor in the Champions League is definitely a good boost. So I'm expecting a great game. What do you make of it, Dan?
Yeah, I'm expecting a really good game too. I didn't think that Spurs would do as well as they did against Real Madrid. They could have won it. They were fantastic that night, and of course they've broken the Premier League duck at Wembley last weekend in the Bournemouth game. Liverpool. Before that, I talked to Martin before the Maribor game, and I said that I weren't convinced by Liverpool, and then they went and smashed Maribor 7-0. But Maribor is to Spurs is one hell of a step up, and Harry Kane at the moment I think is one of the best players in the world. I saw something on BBC News today where they were saying he's not far off the Ballon d'Or now, and I think Liverpool are going to have a hell of a game counteracting him.
I will give you a question, Dan, because we were talking about this last week on a podcast with ProTipster Martin. Yeah, he gave me a question. How do you rate Harry Kane in the case of the best strikers in the world, or best forwards in the world? Where do you would have him? Top 3, top 5, top 10?
Definitely top 3, I think. I'm trying to think who else I'd pick. I'm not going to say Ronaldo and Messi because I don't say this. They're complete players. They're not strikers. They score a lot of goals, but they do more than just score. They're not strikers. They're forwards. If you're looking for out-and-out strikers, Harry Kane's got to be one of the best in the world. One of the best 3. The only 2 I can think of off the top of my head I compare him with are Lewandowski. Maybe Aubameyang, Dortmund. I think he's a fantastic player. But who else is up there with him? Who else scores goals as consistently as Kane does? And that's what he's scoring for fun in the Premier League. He's been top scorer, I think, the last 3 seasons.
I think that's the most important virtue, what you said. Sorry to interrupt you, but the consistency that he has over the period of recent weeks, months, I would say even years, to be honest. The amount of goals he scores and regularly, that's important in the long run for the team to achieve something. And I think he's one of the players that can push Tottenham into the group of top teams, really top teams in the world. That's my opinion. Because Tottenham for a long time they were considered as really good team, but not one of the best teams in the world, or But however, I think Harry Kane, and it's not just Kane. It's also, I really like Eriksen as well, Dele Alli as well. These players, in my opinion, can make Tottenham move this small step forward to make it into the top of the world, like together with Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, and all the rest of the top teams in the world.
Okay, so prediction time. What's your tip for this game?
My tip for this game is Tottenham to win I have Tottenham. I'm just checking the odds on ProTipster. If you give me a second, Dan, this is where I added the tip. And 1 second. What do you make? What is your prediction for this game?
My prediction, I've gone for Spurs to win 1-0. I think it's going to be a really tight game. I think it's going to be really difficult for both teams, but I think Spurs have got enough to win it. So I've backed Spurs to win 1-0 at to win the game at 2.13.
Just checked what I did, what I have, and the odds are obviously in favor of Tottenham slightly, which we can all agree. Mm-hmm. Although they're playing Wembley, which is not their strength, or they don't feel yet completely at home there. For this one, I'm choosing the suggested line of the Asian handicap, so that's minus 0.25, and Tottenham to beat line. The odds are 1.77 on ProTipster.
Okay, so that's both of us think Spurs are going to win, but both of us think it's going to be a tough game. So that's one match we agreed on. It's a good start, isn't it?
Quite rare for us to agree on
something. Let's move on to tonight's game, West Ham United against Brighton. So Martin's not with us tonight because Martin's on his way to the London Stadium for this game, being a massive West Ham fan. Is he going to be a happy guy at the end of tonight, do you think?
And this is a game where I think Martin can be finally happy. I would favor West Ham to take all 3 points from this game. Obviously, it's going to be a difficult one, as all the Premier League games are difficult. I mean, I mentioned this a few times. I think Premier League is one of the few competitions where almost every team can beat the other one. But in this case, West Ham. I favor West Ham to take it to win this game.
Yeah, I've got to admit, I agree with you. I think this was why this was our tip of the day, actually. Yes, the West Ham to win. So obviously Martin went for it as well.
What a surprise!
Yeah, what a shock that is. Brighton going to the game. They haven't won an away game in the Premier League so far this season. West Ham started out rough, in quite rough form, but the last 5 Premier League games they've picked up 8 points, so they're starting to improve now. And the London Stadium, big crowd behind them. I think it's a tough game for a shooting side. West Ham at 1 point, I got 1.75, which I think
I got exactly the same odds.
Yeah,
exactly the same tips. I say 2 out of 2 then.
Yes, 2 out of 2.
Which was
quite scary, It's just telepathy going on here. But yeah, it's got to be a West Ham win. I think. I think Brighton are going to find the Premier League really tough if they can't win away from home. But I don't think this one's the one they're going to do it in.
Yeah, I think they collected just 1 point so far away from home.
Yeah.
So their task to stay in the Premier League is to collect points at home. I believe that's if they can achieve that, they should. But they will be. Yeah, it's going to be very difficult for them. It's not easy. They will find it quite difficult, especially when it comes to the busy times in December.
Okay, so next up is the early game on Saturday, Chelsea versus Watford. We've actually got a question on this. Martin B has asked, will Morata start? Morata had a hamstring injury. I think he started midweek, didn't he?
The midweek, yeah.
I think he'll start again because Batshuayi is not good enough. What do you make of this one, Tom?
I have to say I like Watford, how they perform so far, and they are quite. I mean, they are 4th. I mean, they're 2 points ahead of Chelsea, which is
unbelievable.
Amazing. But I think their coach Marco Silva is doing a really good job. They lost 1 out of the last 5 matches, and that was 6-0 defeat to City, which. In all honesty, I would not be bothered too much with, because City are playing like from another planet. Chelsea, they played quite interesting midweek game in the Champions League against AS Roma.
Mm.
I saw that game. It was a very entertaining game, but Chelsea were unexpectedly poor in the back with their defense, which is not really the case under Conte. Their current form in the Premier League is also not that good. They lost to City, they lost to Crystal Palace, which is probably the most surprising result of the season so far.
Mm-hmm.
So I expect them to bounce back in a way, but they will have a very tough opponent in Watford. David Luiz and Bakayoko are doubts, which if Kante is injured, so if both Luiz and Bakayoko will be missed alongside Kante, well, I can stink some problem there.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know that we were asked about Morata not starting up front, but Chelsea's problems in midfield. They had to play David Luiz in midfield in midweek. Conte's out with a hamstring injury. Drinkwater, who they signed in the summer's out. So who are they going to play now? I could see Charlie Masonda maybe getting a game. They've had a young teenager, Scott, on the bench the last couple of games. It's a really tough one for them. I looked at the stats as well. Chelsea have lost 3 and 4 at home. They've only won twice at home all season in the Premier League. Watford, they're unbeaten away. You know, it's unbelievable. I saw something as well about there's rumours that the players aren't happy with Conte. They're saying he's too intensive in training, allegedly. And it's like what happened the season after Mourinho won the title. Chelsea have just fallen apart again. It's really eerie. So, what are you backing in this game, Tom?
Having said all this, I think Chelsea will bounce back. It will be a very difficult game for them, very difficult. However, I do think they will have the edge. Looking at the odds and the offer on ProTipster, my selection for this one is Chelsea -1 Asian handicap. So if they win by 1, it's stake back. If they win by 2, the pick is 1, and the odds for this one is 1.66.
Okay. You're not going to believe this, Tom. I actually agree with you, but I've gone for a slightly different bet. I've gone for Watford on the 1 line in the Asian handicap at 2.39. I genuinely think that Chelsea are really going to struggle in this game because of their midfield. Watford are really good away. They know that Chelsea, have had to play 3 games in 7 days. They know that Chelsea are going to be rocked, and I think they're going to go for them. And while I think Chelsea have got enough about them to win the game, I can't see them winning by more than 1. I really can't. So this is one of my big ones for the weekend. I've gone for Watford. Watford 1 Asian handicap 2.39. If you want to see either mine or Tom's tips, check in on ProTipster. They're all there for free, no problem. So next up is Huddersfield Town against Manchester United. It's going to be the Mourinho machine rolling on.
That's okay. This is out of form team against in-form team. Let's say this way.
Mm-hmm.
Huddersfield were doing really well in the beginning of season, and I remember when we did the first podcast, 3 of us, me, yourself, and Martin, you were talking about that we expect them to start struggling at some point. It happened, unfortunately for them. It's a very difficult match for them at this moment. Manchester United are rolling on. Last week, they drew with Liverpool 0-0 in the big game, where maybe they would even deserve to lose the game. However, for them, I believe this is a perfect game to bounce back. Very strong defensively. Got firepower up front. Can't see them not to win this one, in all honesty. Obviously, the odds reflect this, so we cannot expect any miracles in this sphere. So I have chosen for this one Man United to win by 2 or more, and stake back half of the stake back if Man United win by 1. So it's Man United minus 1.25 handicap, and the odds is 1.7.
Okay. I've got to be honest. I haven't gone for the result in this game. I've gone with goals. Huddersfield have scored 1 goal in 6 games, which is shows basically what their problem is. They can't score goals. They've not conceded too many. And Man United, what they've got, they're struggling a little bit in midfield. They're not scoring goals. I watched them in midweek in the Champions League, and I'm not sure if you saw Marcus Rashford's goal.
Oh yes, it was quite lucky, wasn't it?
I mean, I feel sorry because he was the youngest keeper ever in the Champions League, and to concede your first goal in the Champions League like that.
Yeah, you make a record, but does it make you happy? I wouldn't say so. If you concede a goal like this,
it was an elementary mistake. Playing goal, you've got to. You shouldn't have tried to catch it. I know
just punch it away.
Just punch it. I know most of the time we say catch the ball, claim it, but in that situation where you're heading backwards, you've got to push it out. Got to. It's all you can do. So I got.
But it's easy to say this way, but it was for him it was a difficult situation, and of course he tried to do his best. So one thing is what we say now, but the other thing is on the pitch. So I don't think he is to blame. It was a bad coincidence, I would say this way. He made, of course, a mistake which he shouldn't have, but still, he made some great saves in that game. So
the problem is that no one remembers the great saves. Everyone remembers.
True.
That's the problem. But yeah, coming back to the Huddersfield game, I've gone for under 2.5 goals at 1.80. I just think it's going to. I can see Man United winning 2-0. I can see Man United winning 1-0, but I think it's going to be a really tough game. I think Huddersfield are just going to stick 10 men behind the ball and try and sneak a draw.
I can see this way as well. I can agree with you.
Wow, this must be a record. I think we've agreed on every game so far. It's unbelievable.
Won't happen again this season.
Next up, Man City against Burnley. Man City, who, to be fair, was it 17 goals in 3 home games? First 10 minutes against Napoli, I thought, oh my God, here we go again, especially as I'd gone for under 3.5 goals. But the bet came in. They couldn't add any more to it. We saw Napoli miss a penalty before they finally did score. How do you think they're going to do against Burnley?
I'm simply impressed with City. They score goals, which I want to see. Obviously, the odds are very low for. Even the Asian handicap line is. It's huge. I think looking at it now, I think it's 2.75, which that's ridiculous if you think of it. But in this case, I would even say that the City is well-deserved line for how they perform at home. The last 3 results of City at home: 7-0, 5-0 Crystal Palace, and 5-0 Liverpool. So it's difficult to face such a team away from home. Although Burnley are going without defeat in the last 5 games, so with 3 draws, we try to keep, I believe, balance. Whether they can do that with against, I've gone. Let me see. I actually can't find this. I think I
Okay, I'll tell you what. While you try and find it, I'll tell you what I'm going for.
Yeah.
Because you might be surprised. Again, like you, I think this is the best Man City team I've seen in a long, long time. Watching Kevin De Bruyne play is a pleasure. I think that Gabriel de Jesus is one of the outstanding young talents in Europe. However, Burnley are actually really good away from home. They're unbeaten after going to Stamford Bridge, Wembley to play Spurs, Anfield, Goodison Park to play Everton, They picked up 8 points in those 4 games. There's one more away point than they picked up the whole of last season. And I read a piece on BBC News about how they've done it, and it's not luck. They faced more shots than than any other team in Europe. They've had more clearances than any other team in Europe, less possession than any other team in the top divisions in Europe. Basically, they block everything that's in their path. They throw themselves at the ball, and they frustrate the opposition. That's how they do it. And because of that, I looked at the same Asian handicap line as you, and I thought, wow, this line's huge. And I've gone for Man City to win Burnley not to lose by a margin of 4 or more. Stakes return if Burnley lose by 3, so it's +3 on the Asian handicap. I honestly don't think I would have gone even further up if I had a bit more about me. I mean, that's 1.61. 1.61 for Burnley to not lose by more than 4. By 4 or more. That's just unreal in the Premier League. And I thought, that's just printing money. So that's what I've gone for.
Well, the Asian handicap is huge. I mean, I would, to touch the line in favor of City, I wouldn't recommend it in terms of value, because there's no value at all. I've been skipping through the offer and what we have on ProTipster, looking at the different markets. And one I found, or let's say the only one, because to be honest, I would probably, in terms of value, I would maybe skip this game to be fair, as I don't see City to lose or to even draw. But then again, 2.75 or 2.5 is quite huge. So what I've gone is for more than 1.5 goals until halftime, and the other 1.72.
Yeah, I can see that happening. As long as they only score 2 in the game, I'm fine. Okay, next up is Newcastle United against Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace, I think, shocked everyone last week when they beat Chelsea.
Was it a shock for you?
I was away on holiday, and I just caught it up. I was like, "Blimey, Palace have scored. Oh, it's own goal. That'll be why." And then Palace have actually scored themselves. Wow,
I couldn't believe my eyes, man. I couldn't believe my eyes.
They've got a tough game going to St James's Park. Newcastle are pretty good at home. So I can't. I can't back Palace in this game, as much as I think that Roy Hodgson is going to change things around. I just look at that Palace team. I think that they might be doomed already. Benteke's not scoring goals. I don't think they've got anyone else in the team that that really can. They've got Sahar, but he's been in and out with injury. Kabais, I don't think he's the player he once was. Up against his old team as well in Newcastle. And Newcastle look a lot more solid. I think Rafa Benitez has done a great job. He got them up last year, back up into the Premier League, and he's put together quite a decent little outfit. And Newcastle at 1.94 to win at St James's Park says to me that's worth it. That does seem like value to me against a Palace team that's been just dire this season.
Okay, let me tell you my view of this game, and believe it or not, but I have gone exactly for the same. I think it's quite amazing how today we can find a balance between us, but which usually doesn't happen because we usually go for exactly the opposite selections. But this time I am on you with this one. I will only reproduce what you said, so I'm not going to repeat. I genuinely agree what you said about Newcastle and about Rafa Benitez. I think he's doing a great job. They're pretty good at home. They've got a decent form. They're confident on their home pitch. Unlike, I'm not sure Crystal Palace, even though I respect Roy Hodgson very much, I'm not sure how they can perform the same way they played against Chelsea twice in 2 weeks. It's a tough travel to St. James Park. They will be put up to a big challenge. Not sure again, like you said, Benteke. Actually, will Benteke play? I don't think so. He's still unavailable, isn't he?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not even confident they will score again. But anyway, the selection for this one is Newcastle to win at 1.94.
Okay. Next up, Stoke versus Bournemouth. Can Stoke bounce back after getting smashed 7-2 last week?
My favorite team, Stoke. I wasn't very happy after the game against City, but there is something wrong with Stoke. Joe Allen has good chances of returning, which would be a big boost. Shawcross with a chance of returning, which would be another big boost. But actually, Wimmer is still expected to start. There is some pressure on Stoke to bounce back after that heavy defeat last week. They are 17th, close to relegation positions with 8 points, which is not really great. They are conceding a lot of goals. They conceded 18 goals, along with Crystal Palace, the most in the Premier League. And that's not Stoke City side from a few years back when they were rock solid in the back, and that was their main, strength to play solid defense and really tough aggressive game. They can't seem to do that at the moment. Although they've got players up front who are capable of playing with the ball. They scored 2 against City, which was away from home is great, but of course not when you concede 7. Talking about Bournemouth, I haven't seen them much this season. To be fair, they gave a tough match to Tottenham away from home, but they are struggling for form. And I think a draw would be a decent result for them here. Having said that, for the goals market in this one, I think that's the only game I've gone for the goals market in this round. And that's more than 2.5 goals at 1.83. Although Bournemouth are not really scoring too many goals, especially away from home. However, with the way Stoke play and with their defensive struggles, I believe they can score at least 1. And Stoke are capable of scoring a few at home. So I can see this realistically go something like 2-1, 2-2.
I've gone for Stoke to win this one, and I'm going to tell you why. I know that Stoke got smashed 7-2 last weekend by Man City, and I know that Stoke have struggled this season. However, Stoke have not played a team that finished below them this season have not played a team that finished below them last season until this game. They've had a really, really tough start. They've won twice at home, despite that tough start. Bournemouth have one Premier League win away in the whole of 2017. And I think as much as Stoke have struggled a little bit, I thought they showed a little bit of fight against Man City. They dragged it back to 3-2, and then they fell apart again. Bournemouth won't be able to smash them the same way Man City did. Bournemouth don't have Kevin De Bruyne weaving magic on the right. They don't have a striker of the caliber of Jesus or someone like Sane or Sterling up front. 2.10 to win at home for Stoke, I actually think that's value. Britannia is a nightmare place to go come autumn, winter. It's cold. It's a tight stadium as well. It's got one of the narrowest pitches in the country. I honestly think this is where Stoke's revival starts. So I'm going to go with Stoke at 2.10.
I hope you're right, actually, but let's see. It's not a tough game for Stoke.
Well,
But
it's one of those games that they need to start winning if they're gonna get anywhere this season.
exactly, I completely agree with you.
But I think they will. I genuinely think they will. Next up is Swansea City against Leicester City. An interesting game because obviously Leicester have just sacked Craig Shakespeare after only 4 months in charge. How do you think they're going to react?
You know, I have this superstition that I'm never going against a team that sacked the coach, because
Manager banks, they call it.
Yeah, in English. I just believe that when there is a new coach, there is a new motivation. Sometimes you just need that. With Leicester City, I think the biggest mistake they did, and all the respect to Craig Shakespeare, but he shouldn't have stayed for that long. He was a good caretaker, but they should have gone for someone, let's say this way, more experienced or more personality, or I just believe he was good as a caretaker, but not for long term as a coach. Going to play Swansea away is not an easy trip. However, Swansea are not that great this season. I mean, there's a small gap between the teams. It's still early. It's like 2 points. Leicester are 6 on 6 points. Swansea on 8. Leicester City are close to full strength. I mean, they've got important players available, as far as I know. It might be less pressure on them that they play away with a new coach. Swansea, obviously, last week they recorded 2-0 fine win against Huddersfield at home, which will boost them. However, I still see Leicester to take something from this game, and I've gone for draw no bet on Leicester 1.79. Don't tell me you go for the same.
Nope. I've gone for goals on this one. I don't believe in the new manager bounce. I know that Michael Appleton has taken caretaker charge, the scariest looking caretaker manager in the Premier League. I don't know if you've seen him. I wouldn't want to meet him in a dark alley. In fact, I wouldn't want to meet him in a bright alley. He looks like he could eat me up and spit out the bones. He's a big looking guy. But he's a caretaker, and he said about how the players are a little bit raw and that Craig Shakespeare's a little bit raw. To be honest, I don't think Michael Appleton should be there. And I agree with the Leicester owners who have said that they are looking from the outside to bring someone in as a full-time replacement. I think they've got...
Do you think they can bring Ranieri back?
It's possible. He's not having a great time in France, is he?
That's what I mean.
Yeah. I've gone for goals on this one. Swansea don't score goals. They scored only 3 at home this season, and 2 of them were against Huddersfield Town. I think they scored 4 in the Premier League. Also, 4 Premier League goals all season? It's really low. They've not scored many at all. 3 Premier League goals all season is all they've scored, and they've scored them all at home. I don't know. I think Leicester are struggling a little bit. Against West Brom, they had some good moments. Vardy and Mahrez both looked a bit more on it, but I'm not convinced. And the line, obviously the bookies are with me because under 2.5 goals is only 1.67. So they're obviously looking that it's going to be a low-scoring game, but it's the only bet that I feel I've got that could win. It's one of those. I think this is the kind of game where Martin would go, "I'll back the draw," and I know why he would do it.
I can see what you're saying because he likes to bet to pick on draws, doesn't he?
Yeah, and to be honest, I like it. I like the reasons he does that as well. I think he's right. A lot of time, often it doesn't come off, but it's the right sort of bet to go for, I think. The last Saturday kickoff in the Premier League is between Southampton and West Brom. What do you make of this one?
That's a tough one. Dan. That was one of the two games that I wouldn't pick anything on. To be fair, together with the City Burnley game, just because I can see it going both ways. Southampton are a very difficult team to read. The same I would say about West Brom. I mean, West Brom are without a win in the last 5. Southampton one win out of the last 5. Southampton full strength. West Brom, I think they're also pretty not really almost full strength as well. However, very tough game to call.
Yeah, I agree with you, and this is why I've employed the trademarked ProTipster Martin way of dealing with this game. I'll back the draw at 3.37.
Did you?
Yeah, I can't tell these teams apart. West Brom, they're a funny team because they're actually punching well above their weight for what they are. But the fans, as much as Tony Pulis has got them into a position where they shouldn't be, I know loads of fans who hate Tony Pulis, and they hate him because the football's a bit anti-football. They score a lot of goals from free kicks and corners, and this has got a last game on match of the day all over it. It's just going to be a ball draw, I think. So that's why I've gone for 3.37. It's not one I put a lot of money on. It's just a kind of a punt to nothing, as it were. You know, just put a little bit on and go. Well, you know, I can't see which way it's going to go. So I'm going to back the highest outcome and hope for the best.
Yeah. So my selection for this one is no selection. I truly don't know. So I'll leave it blank for this one. That's my biggest advice.
Okay, so the last game we've got to cover this weekend is on Sunday. Is the early game on Sunday between Everton and Arsenal. Pressure on Ronald Koeman.
Definitely. So frankly, I saw that Everton might be doing this way and might be struggling already in the beginning of the season. I mentioned it a few times. I saw them playing. They played in Slovakia, the Europa League qualifier. Okay, that time it was early in the season, so they were pretty average, to be honest. But everybody thought, okay, it's the beginning of the season. After preseason, they might level up, you know, improve. But it doesn't seem to be happening. To correct me if I'm wrong, they lost the Europa League match yesterday against Lyon.
Yeah, they did 2-1.
Yeah. Haven't seen that game, but from what I saw in the previous matches of Everton, there's some factor, I don't want to call it a personality factor, or some players that would take the responsibility. They've got Rooney, obviously, but I don't know. It's not that Rooney from his old times, good times in United. About Arsenal, that's a tough team to judge for me, because I still think they really need a change in the manager's position. Wenger's been great over so many years, and I mean, it's outstanding how long he stayed with Arsenal and how loyal he is, and I really like him as a coach. But I think it's eventually it's time to make it.
I've got to be honest in this one. I've probably gone a completely different way to you. I know Everton are under a lot of pressure. I know Ronald Koeman's under a lot of pressure. I watched some of the game against Lyon and they were poor. They had their fans screaming at record signing Gylfi Sigurdsson. Sorry, I saw a clip where fans just screaming at him that he's crap, although he used a little bit more industrial language. you're right. There does seem to be an issue with the kind of character of the team. But you look at the stats, and actually Everton aren't that bad at home in the Premier League. They beat Stoke and they beat Bournemouth at home. The two games they lost were to Spurs, which I think is isn't that bad. And they lost to Burnley, who have been amazing away from home this season.
Mm.
And then you look at Arsenal, and Arsenal, you could level the same accusations against them, that they have a team that lacks character. And their last 4 away games, they haven't won one of them. They've not won an away game in the Premier League this season. They lost to Stoke away. They lost to Liverpool 4-0. They drew with Chelsea, and they lost to Watford. So although Arsenal are 6th, it's papering over the cracks a little bit. And I looked at the odds of this one, and I've become a fan of this Asian Handicap Zero market. I really have become a fan of it because I think it's a great way to make the odds a little bit better in games like this. Everton in the zero handicap market against Arsenal are 2.52. So Everton win 2.5, and if they draw, they get money back. To me, that screams value because I think they can get something from this game. I really do. And I think Arsenal, this is the kind of game that they might struggle in. Rooney's supposed to recall for this game, which would be a huge boost. He was rested against Lyon. James McCarthy might be fit again after a knee injury. Is Alexis Sanchez going to play? Not sure. Danny Welbeck's a doubt. Callum Chambers a doubt. Aaron Ramsey faces a fitness test. Lauren Koscielny faces a fitness test. I look at this one, I think, oh, I'm going to go for it, 2.52, Everton to win, draw no bet. It seems like a really good bet to me, and that's what I've gone for.
I don't agree on this one. It must have come in the last game. I have gone for Arsenal to score more than 1.5 goals. Odds are 1.84. I'm not, as I said, I'm not impressed with Everton at all. And although they're not conceding that much, although having said that, they conceded 3 against Spurs at home and 4 away to City, but these are, of course, tough. They're tough teams to play. Still, and I agree, to be honest, the value is on Everton. That's certain. I just think that Arsenal can deliver in the final third, in the attacking third, against this defense of Everton. I don't know who wins this game. It's for me. I think it might be a high-scoring game on both sides. So, but I genuinely think that Arsenal will score at least 2 goals.
I think that's a fair bet. I actually do think it's a fair bet. I think they will. Everton are no great shakes to the back. I'm just looking now. I mean, you look at Spurs. Spurs beat them by 3 at Goodison. Leon scored a couple there on Thursday nights.
Yeah.
Apollon Limassol scored a couple there as well in the Europa League. I think they've kept 1 clean sheet. No, it's more than that.
Sure they did.
3 clean. It's 2 clean sheets at home. No, 1 clean sheet at home in the Premier League against Stoke City, and 4 in total because they beat Rizombarok. I don't know if I pronounced that.
Yeah, that's the team from Slovakia.
Yeah, they beat them 1-0. They beat Hajduk Splits 2-0, and they beat Sunderland 3-0 in the cup.
Yeah.
But, otherwise, they conceded goals at home every game. Conceded to teams like Bournemouth have scored there. Burnley, although their away form's pretty great, it's because they're defensively really good. And Apollon Limassol as well. You wouldn't expect them to draw 2-2 with Apollon, even though they play the weaker side. So
I saw that game, and obviously Everton were quite dominant in that game, but they still conceded. That's what's worrying with this side. I mean, even if they play well, they still concede. So, And I mean, it depends also if Sanchez starts and Ramsey. But I think they will start, and that makes me go in favor of Arsenal to score those goals. However, I'm not predicting the result because, as I said, I can see very realistically it being 2-2 or 1-2 or 3-2 even. So it can go, I think, either way. But I expect Arsenal to score 2 goals at least.
Okay, so that wraps up the fixtures for this weekend. If you're just tuning in now, you're about 45 minutes late. Where were you? You can catch all our tips in the description. There are links to mine and Tom's links to our tips in the description. Just click and take a look through. We've got links. We've got tips. I've got tips not just the Premier League, but also for the Championship. If you go to ProTipster, you're signed in. You can subscribe to tips daily to your inbox, which come from myself and Martin, the English staff. And not bragging, but we have a fantastic record this week. I think it's 6 out of 8 we've got right, which is not bad. So yeah, till next time. I think our next podcast is going to be sometime next week, maybe. So let's wrap it up from there. Thanks for joining us, Tom.
Thank you, Dan. Have a good evening, everyone.
Yeah. Have a great evening, and see you next time.